Good morning. This is Wendy Henley with the Bedford Area Chamber. Chamber vibes coming at you with Robert Hiss this morning, our county administrator. Wow. I am so excited to have Robert on the show today. And Robert comes to us. He serves as our county administrator, as I said, for Bedford County, and he's been here since 2019. Robert carries out strategic direction of our Board of Supervisors. He oversees the day-to-day operations of the government and directly supervises community development, economic development, emergency 911, fire and rescue, finance, public works, and works collaboratively with our constitutional officers and a variety of local and regional entities. I'm telling you what, this is the job that nobody wants, okay? And yet, I mean, you think about all the responsibility, but Robert has dedicated his entire working career to local government management. He previously served 5 years as assistant city manager for Athens in Georgia, and he unified government for 7 years as the assistant county administrator for Pulaski County, Virginia. He has served as the county administrator for Meriwether County, Georgia, for 5 years, and was also the first county administrator for, I don't know if I'm going to be able to say this right, Chattahoochee,
like the Chattahoochee River.
Chattahoochee County, Georgia. Thank you.
Made famous by Alan Jackson.
There we go. I know Alan Jackson. So not personally, but yes. And then Robert, you earned your bachelor's degree in business administration and in North Carolina, and then master's in public administration from American University, a graduate of the Senior Executive Institute of the University of Virginia. He also is a White House intern during the second term of President Bill Clinton. You live in Forest and you're married to Kimberly and have 2 boys, 17 and 14, and you are very active in the community. So thank you so much for taking the time out today to be with us and give us an update on county and everything that's going on as far as broadband and our budget and anything that's hot topics for our area. We want to be in the know. So thank you for being here to talk about all these things. And how are you?
Oh, it's a busy time of year. Thank you for having me, Wendy, and look forward to the conversation. Springtime is always a challenging time in local government world with finalizing the budget for the next year, and a lot of big decisions that are always made during this time frame.
Right. Oh, it is. And, we've had conversations and talking about different things that we're going to be doing collaboratively with you guys with the chamber and how we're going to affect workforce development. And so I do know you guys are always doing so much for our business community. And so we thank you for that. But I know we want to just kind of kick it right off with broadband. Tell us a little bit about what's going on there.
So you may recall, and others listening may recall, that the county stepped into the broadband world several years ago with a big project to erect about 10 different towers throughout the county and partner with a company, Blue Ridge Towers and Bristnet. And that wireless internet system didn't quite pan out the way we were all hoping it would. And the infrastructure is still there and it can still be utilized. But the Board of Supervisors, which also serve as the County Broadband Authority, wanted to change gears and still recognize that we didn't achieve what we wanted to achieve, needed to switch our focus and go in a different direction with broadband. So, because the work wasn't done and the mission wasn't complete. So, the good news, bad news about the pandemic. I mean, the pandemic itself is obviously not good for lots of reasons, a lot of human reasons. The good news with the pandemic was that with the federal and state money that came down to the different states and localities, we've been able to tap into millions of dollars in order to advance broadband. So the pandemic also illuminated the continuing need for broadband, especially in rural, unserved communities. So we've doubled down on that. The county received, let's say, about $15 million in the American Rescue Plan Act funds, and also several $1 million in CARES Act funds. And we've coupled that with state grant money that also came from the federal government dedicated to broadband. So what we've done is we've pivoted our approach to a fiber and made a little bit of coax cable, and we've partnered with three different companies in different areas of the county, and utilizing state grant money or local money that I've already referenced and money from the internet service providers. We're looking at approximately $60 million worth of projects. The three companies that we're working with are Shentel, and a lot of people around Bedford County are familiar with Shentel. There's also a small company that has been starting to make a little bit of a presence in the greater Moneta area and a little bit in Boonesboro. Is called Zytel, and like I said, Zytel is based in Moneta, and they're looking to make great strides in terms of their footprint in Bedford County. So we've been partnering. We're going to partner with them on this project. And the final internet service provider that we're going to be working with is a company out of North Carolina who is expanding into kind of South Side and Central Virginia. And its name is River Street. The River Street Communications is part of a larger regional grant in the Central Virginia area. So, anyways, with all that said, we're these projects, these $60 million worth of projects, are all going to be kicking off this summer. Uh, in fact, Monday night, the Board of Supervisors approved a contract with Zytel. So Zytel will be off and running here pretty soon. And when it's all said and done over the next 18, probably 24 months at the most, we're looking at about 12,000 what they call serviceable units. I know that sounds like a good government term, but a serviceable unit can be, a church, a business, a resident, an industry. It can be any type of structure that utilizes internet. So, at a minimum, the contracts that we'll have with these internet service providers, about 12,000 units within Bedford County we served. And I think one thing that's key, the final thing I'll say about that for right now, is one thing that's really key about that is that these are all either unserved or underserved areas of the county. So there are areas that obviously have internet. That may not have as much choice as they like, but they do have internet. So we are not overbuilding those areas. These are areas and neighborhoods and rural parts of the county are that really struggle with internet service and with the fiber, which will be in the ground, ready to be hooked up to. You have pretty much a sure thing versus relying on a wireless tower for a signal that you may or may not get from a tower.
Right.
So,
That's going to make all the difference because we have such a big coverage area and underlying areas that need that service. So we have some underserved areas, of course, and those are going to be taken care of. So that's good news.
yeah, I think it's great news. Like I said, it's taking a situation with a pandemic that's been a struggle for many people and many businesses, and leveraging the different grant funds that were out there into something that would be a great generational permanent infrastructure project for this county.
Absolutely. And of course, for the school students at home, working at home too now, some, and that's going to be make a big difference too. So I know we have a lot to go over. Let's talk about the budget.
Yeah, so this budget has been an interesting situation this year. The county government, just like any other entity that's out there, business or homeowner or residential or resident, or we're experiencing the pains of inflation too. So there's a lot of added items into expenses into our budget that aren't necessarily adding programs or services, but it's just we consume goods and services also to keep the government running. So there a lot of those goods and services that we purchase have experienced inflation also. So that's impacted our budget planning. Uh, the good news with the budget is that the board of supervisors continue with their pledge of keeping taxes low and fees and different user fees low. So there's no new taxes in this budget or no increase in taxes. So that's a good thing. as residents and businesses are dealing with their own inflationary pressures. So you won't necessarily have that from the county government at this point. So without new revenue, without increased tax rates, what's helped us meet those inflationary pressures in our budget is that we do have overall increased revenues. So the economy in Bedford County generally is in pretty good shape if you look at the consumer type taxes. And what I mean by that are sales tax, meals tax, lodging tax. People are spending money in Bedford County. And so those types of receipts from those revenue sources are up. And that allows us to address these inflationary pressures in our budget in a pretty good way. The other big theme in the budget, um, outside other than inflation, is another thing that businesses and everybody's dealing with, and that is finding and retaining a good workforce. So
Yes.
as wages have been dramatically increasing, as minimum wage has gone up due to legislative uh, votes in the General Assembly of recent years, but also just the pressure in the workforce overall, we're we've had to look at our pay scales as well because we got to be competitive also. I mean, we have very important, I think, essential services
Yes,
for
you
the
do.
county government.
Emergency services too.
Yeah,
Yes,
and whether you
absolutely.
have 911 dispatchers or
Yes.
EMTs and paramedics and sheriff deputies, and we run a court system, we run a social service system, and all those types of things are pretty, I think,
Pretty
essential.
vital. Yes.
so
You have to
so
have them
so
and
we
you want them
gotta
to run well.
yeah, so we got to have employees there. So we've done a pain classification study and trying our best to implement as much as we can this year. Uh, likely, well, not likely. I mean, I'm confident we'll also have to go into next year. We just don't quite have enough money to implement it all at once. But trying to make sure we're being competitive so we can retain and recruit employees is important.
Yes, it is vital for our area, and certainly each one makes a difference, and we have to have it. And so I can't, it's hard to imagine that your one position oversees all of these day-to-day operations throughout the whole county. That's a lot to
Well,
think
and
about and
those
to
aren't
keep
all of them.
going.
I mean, like I said, we have a deputy county administrator. She has a half a dozen departments that report to her. So,
Yeah,
so
well, you
it's
have to have that
yeah.
too.
So
So, and she's doing a great job as well. And so, and part of that budget, we're talking about the nursing home. I know that's been a hot topic lately, of course, in the news. And so, let's talk a little bit about that and what are the advantages.
yeah, so of course, Bedford County has run a nursing home for decades and decades in some form or fashion. I mean, in fact, the county has actually owned the land since the early 1800s, is where the Fallen Creek Park and the nursing home are located. And way back in the day, it used to be called the poorhouse, and had a county farm and those types of things in a different generation and different time. But now it's a modern day licensed Medicaid, mostly Medicaid funded facility. And so,
And can I just say, I guess you may or may not have known that this was going to be one of those issues that the whole community was just going to rally around. Did you have an idea?
yeah, I mean, yes and no.
Okay. Some surprises.
I mean,
Okay.
I mean, it
Yeah.
was a pleasant surprise to
Yes.
know
Yes.
that a lot of citizens felt that the county felt confident that the county government ran a nursing home in a professional and effective way. So that was very reassuring and nice to learn.
Right.
That was a pleasant surprise out of all this. I guess just backing up just a little bit is that the board of supervisors. This has been talked about for a number of years. The big picture question is, should the county government be in the business of running a nursing home? I mean, predominantly nursing homes are run by private sector companies and some nonprofits. And so that was really the overarching question. There's other nuances in there about, with COVID vaccine rules and regulations and vaccine mandates and everything else that the nursing home industry has been dealing with. Uh, this just seemed like it was a good time to explore potentially selling the nursing home. So we put out feelers to a number of nursing home providers that we thought bet best fit our community and our facility. We identified one that we were really, really interested in. We went to in order to sell land as a county government or a building, we have to have a public hearing. So I know there's some frustration amongst people about this not being as transparent as they would have liked it to be. But when you're doing a really truly a business deal, it's not that transparent. In the private sector, it sure isn't transparent to anybody outside the two individuals doing the
Sure.
deal. So anyway, we had that public hearing because that is something we have to do, and mm, that is the transparent part of this process. And we heard what the citizens
You heard
wanted.
loud and clear, didn't you?
And so the board of supervisors, that's why we hold these hearings. The board of supervisors pivoted based on the remarks and have reaffirmed that we're going to continue operating the nursing home as we always have for the foreseeable future. So we'll keep on chugging away with a quality nursing home that we have, and continue to do the best we can to run it and try to make it even better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's good to hear back from the public and see where they're coming from, and certainly find what are the advantages, and how can we better serve the
Yeah,
community.
I'll just say that just like an advantage, I'll just chime in just because we are a little bit unique with this nursing home, not only being run by the county government, which there really aren't any in Virginia that are run exactly like ours, but we are a little bit unique in that are like 90% Medicaid recipients. So
Yes.
that means that individuals who are there have, financial struggles and challenges, and they need this type of extra level of care, and we're able to provide that. And of course, we get reimbursed from the federal Medicaid program. But most nursing homes may have a little bit of Medicaid, but most of them are going to be either private pay, insurance,
Right.
or Medicare. So we are meeting a niche
Yes.
in the community and in the area.
Huge need for sure. Absolutely. Okay. And so, keeping on that. And so, so you just had your strategic plan. Let's dive into that.
Yeah, so I've been here a couple years, and talking to the board of supervisors last year about, we really need to get a strategic direction going. We always have this big community comprehensive plan that's a little bit more of land use driven decisions, but really, what do we want to accomplish over the next 2 3 years? So in November, the leading up to November, and then November, we had a strategic planning retreat, and we emerged out of that, and the board adopted a strategic plan in January after everybody was sworn into office after the elections. So I'm not going to go over it in a whole lot of detail. We do have six goal kind of areas, and I'll just read those off real quick. And one of them's accountable and responsive government. Another is being a safe and prepared community. We also want to promote education and workforce development. We want to protect natural resources like agriculture, grow the business climate, and optimize our infrastructure needs. So I know with the Chamber of Commerce, growing the business climate and promoting workforce development are really things that we would certainly, as a county government, be wanting to partner, engage with the chamber and its membership on as we move forward on different initiatives relating to those.
Yeah, and we're very excited about that, and having talks about workforce development. How can we partner together on those issues and help each other and help our community, all the small businesses, and really every business, to have what they need to get the workforce that they need. And so we'll be talking about career fairs and working with each school and career and tech opportunities, and really informing the public and, of course, all of the students on what jobs that we do have available right here in Bedford County, and what are some high level positions, and what are the kids going to need, what are the students going to need to get themselves in that position. And so we don't want to see our jobs and our businesses close because they don't have the workforce that they need. So we're definitely high on the list to focus on that. We certainly had one of those as our high focus for this year as a chamber, and so we're doing some things together. So those are exciting, and
Yeah.
we're glad to be a part of that. And of course, we'll be looking forward to in the future, hopefully in the near future, doing a workforce summit and really getting everyone together and to talk about what we can do and how we can implement an action plan going forward. And so, for leadership style, what would you say is your leadership style, Robert?
Well, that's a good question, and be interesting to see what my employees said as in answer to that. Um, a couple things. Number one is that I don't view a lot of things as either right or wrong, black and white, either or. I mean, there's a lot of in my job, and I really have to coach my employees to do this a good bit. Is you operate in the, like I said, it's not black or white. A lot of times you operate in the gray, and because a lot of times we're dealing with human beings in most of our business, and 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 uh and you have to be able to understand the nuances of doing that. So putting that in perspective, there's a lot of there's a lot of give and take in my leadership style. A lot of Q&A, making sure that we're getting to the best solution. I think that's another thing that we talk about a good bit is always want people to bring their ideas and positions and innovations and whatever it might be to the table and talk about it. But I also always say, just don't come with that with the idea of it's either this way or the highway. I mean, let's massage it. Let's take that good idea and transition into making something to be a great idea. And so that's kind of been my approach to working with our employees and our department heads, and how can we achieve better things. And but overall, also I think I'm a very approachable person. I think actually I'm been accused sometimes of being too nice, which I'm not sure if that's good or bad. but but
I'm
but
sure that's a good thing.
I think by definition that's good. but
Yes.
but
Because you're still, you're getting the
yeah,
job done. And I
yeah,
think most companies, the employees they really prefer, I should say, open mind, open door, and open to new ideas. And I think
yeah.
that exemplify those. And certainly with most employees don't like micromanaging, but yet that the job has to get done. And so I think you have a well-oiled machine, and you're doing very, very well. So I think your leadership style, whatever it is definitely effective.
Yeah, I think if there was ever, if I'll, and I'm proud to be guilty of this, if I'm probably guilty of caring and caring maybe too much. So but I'd rather err on the side of caring about the issues, caring about how we do things, caring about our employees, um, caring about our citizens. If that's, anyways, that's something that I'm happy to continue doing.
Well, and certainly I think, in most with if you're talking about a company, when they're talking about what is the health of the environment, say, so to speak, you definitely putting the employees first and making sure that their needs are met and they're high valued. I think that goes beyond, what anything else, even what pay can do. When you have the culture that everyone is there to help each other and to grow together and make our community a better place to live, work, and play. And you're certainly accomplishing that. And so, I would say that health is well effective. So thank you for that. And I know I hear all good things coming from the ones that I know that are working with you. So it's been a few years and you're seasoned now and you know where we're going and how to get
Right.
there. Your action plan is being implemented and strategic plan will be, I'm sure, effective. And we're looking forward to, like I say, as a chamber, working together with you to make a difference and make sure that our businesses have that workforce that they need. So look forward to working with you on that. And certainly, what's next for you, Robert?
Well, I mean, for one thing, and I'm looking forward to the budget season being over. so, so,
Right.
so that's
Some
the,
some R&R.
yeah.
That's what's next for you.
So that's the short term thing is getting that over with. I'm personally we're kind of in a state of transition with my older son graduating from high school and going to college and staying local in this area, going to college, and my younger son going into high school. So we're experiencing some family transitions that need attention and support with that. So anyways, looking forward to I spend a lot of time outside of work uh, with my two boys and enjoying that time together. So as they get older, I learn to value that even greater because sometimes I'm doing a certain activity with them, and you do have to sit back there and wonder, saying, how many more times am I going to have this opportunity to do that?
That's
And
right.
that's kind of a deep thought that you that you that you have to cherish, and take a step back and think about what am I doing here with my children, and making sure I take in those moments as they exist.
That's
So
right.
that's something that's really important to me, and continue to try to be a good husband and father in that direction.
Yes. And, just that quality time equals quality life, right? And just
Hmm.
treasuring those moments.
Yes, yes.
So I'm sure that that is wonderful, and you are making a huge impact on their life. So for tomorrow, and leaving a great legacy. So thank you so much for being such a big part of Bedford County and helping us to get to the next level and really impacting our whole nation right here. Thank you so much. We'll look forward to working with you even more in the near future, and we'll look forward to hearing back from you in the fall.
Yes, ma'am, and thank you for having me participate in this podcast, and look forward to doing it again in the future.
Thank you. And thanks for serving on our board too. Forgot to mention that at the beginning. So appreciate it, and have a wonderful rest of your day, and get that R&R really soon.
Thank you.